Hello everyone! We have a little video here just playing with my mare Estrella and her foal Querido. Just working on desensitizing Stray a little bit to the carrot stick. I haven't really done any of this work with her before. I don't know how much of it's been done with her in the past, but she's kind of a reactive, suspicious mare. And just wanted to play around a little bit with her while Q runs around and kind of learns by being around what's going on. So the first thing we're doing is just touching her all over and letting her know that's okay and that she doesn't need to move away from the touch. And then I just start swinging the stick around a little bit and let her know that she doesn't need to do anything about that either, and that I'm not asking anything of her and I'm not going to hurt her. So Q is a big distraction here, so I took advantage of that situation to kind of swing the stick at him, which made Stray a little bit nervous and she moved her hind end around. But that doesn't matter. Now she's figuring out that it wasn't directed at her and she's just fine. And Q learned that the string was not going to hit him in a way that was going to hurt him, but he also can move away from the pressure I direct at him. So you can see Q wasn't terribly offended because he's already back for more. So I just kind of go a little bit towards him, and now he's just going to play and buck and run a little bit. And my increased intention made Stray a little bit nervous, but it was good because she realized that she can relax and nothing was going to happen even when I had intention to move Q away. So now I do want her to move her feet a little bit because she has a bit of a tendency to get frozen when something makes her insecure. So I want to make sure that I can also use the stick and she can move and not get nervous. So first, I'm just making sure I can direct her both ways and she's calm about that, letting her know she doesn't have to trot. I don't need her to run in circles and be hard on her joints. I just need her to move circles around me and walk. And then once I can see that she's calm that way, then I can start touching her with the stick and swinging the stick at her while she is moving without the intention of her going faster, and teach her that she can take that pressure while her feet are moving, and it means she doesn't have to run away. And you can see she gets a little bit confused there or nervous about it, and she thinks it means she has to run away. But I talked to her and kind of gave her a small pull on the rope and let her know she can walk and that I'm not asking her to run off. I'm just swinging it at her without the intention of her having to move away from it, so she can kind of figure out what the difference is between me asking her to move and just being able to touch her in various ways without asking her to move. I decided to give her a little break here, and I'm just standing here watching her because I could tell she was holding some tension. I was kind of waiting for a sign that she had kind of relaxed from that before moving on. And I just waited her out a little bit. She looked away and looked back at me and then took a step in. So that's telling me that she's kind of relaxing a little more about that situation. But she didn't really sigh, or she didn't really lick and chew. And you can see then when I went to pet her, she got a little startled. So she's still holding a little bit of tension. But it was enough for me to have a sign to go ahead and move on. She wasn't really stressed out. But I just was hoping that she would kind of relax a little bit more before going the other way. She's still a little confused about moving her feet and continuing to move her feet at the same pace when I swing the stick at her without having that intention for her to go faster. So she feels like she either has to stop or she has to go faster. And what I'm looking for is, because I'm just casually swinging the stick, is for her to kind of realize that she can just continue at the same pace, not freeze and not speed up. And she's kind of getting that here. And here comes baby, coming in looking for trouble. So I'm just continuing to take the opportunity to kind of expose Q to the stick when he decides to come in and interact. It also gives Mama a time to see him interact with it and realize that I'm not going after him, I'm not going after her. So now I'm starting to swing the stick beside her and kind of hit the ground a little bit, hoping that she'll realize that that is not something she needs to react to, because I'm not asking her to do anything. So the more I travel down the side of her body, the more nervous she gets about that. So I'm just kind of taking my time, working my way down there, not really retreating when she does move, but also not aggressively following her so she doesn't have that opportunity to get nervous or misunderstand that she's supposed to just relax and ignore me. She doesn't really want me to switch sides. She got really comfortable with me on the right side, and she's a little bit hesitant for me then to come to the left side. And I always find that interesting, because in some ways this mare is like most horses where she's more comfortable with me on the left, but in other ways her left side is more guarded, maybe because someone had done something not so nice from the left. So when you have a horse that you don't really know what happened. Oh, and then baby falls down right there. Oops, he was fine. Anyway, when you have a horse you're not really sure what has happened in the past, it's always interesting to see their reactions. I was really happy with how well she handled this going over her head, and you can see her head was up and she was aware, but she wasn't overly concerned. She still has that kind of bracy uneasiness when I go to pet her. She wants to be pet, but then she's uncomfortable with it. And again, you know, the more I go to the side doing this, the more it makes her nervous. She'd rather keep me in front where she can have both eyes on me. She's a little concerned about me making my way around to that left side. Some people may notice that I'm stopping where maybe someone else would not stop to give her a little break and a release. For me with this mare, I'm just watching real subtle signs that she's becoming a little more accepting. I don't want to push her to where she gets upset because I'm working on her emotional control. She really didn't have any emotional control around people when I got her, because she hadn't had that much experience around people, and she just was very, very jumpy. So I want to train her in relaxation and not getting to a major flight response from her. So she gets a little bit nervous, and so I proceed, but I don't proceed aggressively. I proceed very non-aggressively and maybe even back off a little bit, because what I want from her is trust, and for her to know that I notice that she's scared and not push her further into that fear, which is probably different than how you would manage maybe, you know, a horse that was super used to people and super friendly as a baby and had lots of good handling and maybe was a little spoiled or pushy or whatever. But with this mare, I want her to notice that I want her to know that I know that she's concerned, and that I'm concerned that she's concerned, that I'm not going to hurt her, that I'm going to keep the pressure on, but in a way that she can handle it. And so the releases I'm doing may not be because of an obvious reason on the video, but there was a reason in my interaction with her, the eye contact, the way she was breathing, or the way she was looking at me, or maybe some twitching muscles in her body relaxed. I'm looking for opportunities to give her that release and a break to calm her brain back down and have moments of just knowing that, you know, it's okay. She can keep calming down. I'm not going to keep pursuing her. So I do treat her differently than I've treated other horses that I've worked with from scratch, because she is very different than any other horse that I've worked with from scratch. So I'm probably not using the best technique to interact with the baby here, but I'm just trying to touch him a little bit with this thing, because I know the baby is bold. The baby isn't really afraid of me. He's just a stinker little baby that wants what he wants and doesn't want what he doesn't want. And I'd already touched him with this stick, and now he's playing this game, you can't touch me, or I'm moving away from you. And so I am just kind of messing with him a little bit. But it's also good for the mom, because I'm going back and forth around her without any of this directed at her. And you can see how well she's handling it. She might get a little tense, but she's managing that really well. So it is an opportunity to just kind of play with him a little bit and have her be a bystander and figure out how to manage her emotions about that. So something that's huge that I've been working on is being able to touch this mare and ask her to move off of pressure but not overreact. So it used to be anytime I would touch her anywhere, she would jump away. Now I want to be able to put my hand along her rib cage, kind of where my leg might be, and not have her react just from my hand lying there, but then be able to put a little bit of pressure and have her move off that pressure without it being an overreaction. And you can see we kind of get in the same situation where she gets either stuck and frozen or she has to move kind of quickly. And this is huge improvement from the first time I tried this. And this is maybe only the third time I've done this, and it hasn't been real consistent. It's been like once a week because I try to vary what I'm doing with her, and I'm still just relationship building for the most part. And I want her to step forward and in front with that inside hind, not backwards. So sometimes this side she's better, but the other side she had a little bit more of a tendency to want to step backwards, and I want her to know that pressure, which will eventually be my leg there, means move off the pressure and move forward, but also don't panic and overreact, because it's a cue and it's not going to hurt, and I'm not going to increase the pressure if you respond. So there I felt like she was kind of overreacting, so I just kind of kept my hand there until she relaxed a little bit. And I just wanted to hold my hand there a little longer, because when I ride her, my leg isn't going to disappear. And I was just kind of waiting for her to process that and relax a little bit. And again, she doesn't give me like huge signals when I'm working with her. She doesn't have big releases like big sighs or big lick and chews. She will lick a little bit, she will chew a little bit. There is sometimes a sigh, but they're not huge responses. I think she still holds a lot in, and it's going to be a process of her having small releases before she starts to relax and have those big releases. And so it's just important for me to take a few minutes and wait on her